Okay, welcome back. So today we'll be going over the button widget and a couple of other things. So let's just start off straight away. So first of all, we'll import Tkinter. So from Tkinter, import everything. Same as last class. When we initialize the window, root is equal to tk, and then we run the main loop. So root dot main loop. There we go. And so basically, similar to what we have to do for labels, so let's say label1 is equal to label. We have to basically do the same thing. So you first declare a variable. So button1 is equal to button, and that's it. And so let me quickly delete this, and you can pass your different parameters and stuff in here. So the first parameter is text. So that's kind of self-explanatory. You can just add text to the button. So let's say click me, and then we'll quickly pack it for now, just to see the button. Button1.pack. Then if we run it, you'll get this button over here. And so as you can see, when you click it, it's a button. And so most of the parameters are the same. So BG, FG, relief, border width, all that kind of stuff also applies to buttons as well as labels. So I'll go through a couple of other parameters, and then we'll start doing other things. So another parameter is active foreground. So active foreground is equal to, and then let's say orange. Let's make it red, actually, so you can see it. And basically what this does is, when you click the button, the foreground, so what the color of the foreground will change to. So in this case, it'll be the text. So that means if you click the button, the text will change to red. So if we run this, and then it's kind of small, but if you look close, you'll see that the text is red when I'm holding the button. So that's pretty much all it does. There's another parameter called active background. And so if I were to make this blue, yellow, and I run it, since I'm on a Mac, it doesn't really work because Macs don't support this kind of stuff. So if you're in Windows, you're in luck, and you'll be able to mess around with some extra parameters. But since I'm on a Mac, I can't really do that. And also, buttons, they have a new parameter called state. So state is equal to, and there are 3 states: disabled, normal, and active. So if we have just normal, it'll be just, it'll just stay the same. You can just click the button. That's pretty much it. But if we make it disabled, that means, as you can see, it's grayed out, so you can't click the button. Yeah, it basically disables the button. And active, it's basically as if it's already enabled. So there we go. Again, it's kind of glitchy for Macs. It works well for Windows, so as you can see, there we go. And then the main part for buttons, let's quickly delete this. And this is the command parameter. So command is equal to, and for now we'll leave this blank. And so what you're supposed to put into here is the name of a function. So let's quickly make a function. So def, and then let's call this button function. And so basically you can put in your type in your code here. So let's say print you clicked the button. And so over here we just type in button function without these 2 bracket thingies. We just leave it like this. And so if we run this, and if we click the button, As you can see, it prints out you click the button. And so let's say that if you want to pass some arguments or some parameters to the function, so inside of these brackets, you can't just add this on. You'll get a syntax error. So in this case, you have to use command is equal to lambda. Let's say command is equal to lambda and then colon, and then you can type in your function. So let's say button function, and there we go. So let's say we had number, and so our number is 5, and then it'll print your number is number. And so hopefully when you press this button, oh right, we need to make it a string. So now if you run it, when you click the button, you'll get here, your number is 5. And so in the future we'll work with entry boxes and buttons and labels to kind of combine all of them and make a functional program. So for now we have the command thing, and then you can use lambda if you want to pass different arguments and parameters. So for now I'll just leave it without lambda, and we'll just change this back to you press the button. There we go. And so now we're gonna go over some different methods and stuff. So the first thing is invoke. So let's say the invoke method basically runs the command that a button is supposed to run without actually clicking the button. So let's say we have button 1, which does this, and then if we add a second button, so button 2 is equal to button text, let's say button 2, and then command is equal to let's make a function def, and so let's call it again button 2 function. And so inside we'll have the .invoke method. So if we want to invoke what button 1 would do, so we do button 1 .invoke. So oh wait, and then we type this in, button 2 function, and let's finish it. And then let's quickly pack this, button 2.pack. So basically, if we click button 2, its command is set to this function, button 2 function. And so all this does is it acts as if you pressed button 1, and so except you don't press it. So that means you press button 2, it goes through this function and it invokes what would happen here, and then it prints you press the button. So let's quickly try it out. And click button 2 and it says you press the button. So basically it just runs what button 1 would run without you actually clicking the button. Oh, and also I think I forgot to mention last class, I'm not sure, but the variables here, they don't need to be label 1, label 2, button 1, button 2. You can call them whatever you want to. You can call it, I don't know, this is a button variable. Doesn't really matter. Oh, there we go. We have to change this too. This is a button variable. It'll serve the same purpose. It'll work the same way. As you can see, you don't need to name them like this. I'm just naming them button 1, button 2 for the sake of clarity. So now we can start combining different widgets to make simple programs. So basically, first of all, let's quickly make a small program where when you click a button, a label appears that says you click the button. And so we already set this to a function over here. And so let's quickly make a label. So label 1 is equal to label text is equal to you pressed the button, and then let's make, I don't know, fg is equal to let's use, there we go, and then we won't pack it yet, and right now we'll use the grid method, and so let's make it column 0 and row 0. And so basically all we want to do is just make the label appear. And to do that, we just basically call it using the .grid method. So label 1 .grid, and then we'll make it column is equal to 0, row is equal to 1, so that it'll be below the button. And so that's pretty much it. So now, if we run the program, and then I click me, as you can see, the label gets inserted into here. And so, using this, you can already start making some programs. And so, let's say we already added this label, but we wanted to change what the text was. And so for that, we would use the .config method. So let's say that this button just adds the label onto the window. Let's create another button, button 2 is equal to button, text is equal to change text, and then we'll have a command is equal to, and we'll create a new function. So def text change, there we go, and then we want to change the contents of label 1, and so we'll use the .config method. So label 1 .config, what you want to add or change that's in here already, you can just type it into here. So let's say we want to change this text is equal to the text has changed. There we go. And so basically, if we click button 1, it'll add this label onto the window. And then if we click button 2 afterwards, it'll change the text inside of the label. So let's quickly add the command here. So text change. There we go. And then finally, we have to just quickly add this. So button 2 is equal to, .grid. That was a mistake. Column is equal to 1. Row is equal to 0. And so if we run this, and we click me, there we go, you press the button, then we click change text, the text has changed. And so this looks kind of ugly. Let's quickly add row span to this. So column span. Column span is equal to 2, so it spans 2 columns. So hopefully it won't be as ugly. So click me, there we go. Now it's centered, and then change text. The text has changed. And so if you want to, instead of changing the contents of the label, and you wanted to change where the label was, so you wanted to change like the contents of the .grid method, what you could do is, let's create a third button. Button 3 is equal to button text is equal to change position, and command is equal to, let's quickly create a new function, def position change. And then what we have in here is we have the variable label, so label 1 dot grid configure. And so again, it does almost the same thing as the config, except it just changes what's inside of this. So it'll change what you have over here. Let's do dot grid configure, and then we'll make it column is equal to 0, row is equal to 2. There we go. So basically, it'll change it from it being below the two buttons to the right of the two buttons, to the right side. And let's quickly change column span back to 0. Oops, there we go. And then we need to add this into here. Position change. There we go. And so let's quickly run the program. And so click me. There we go. And this. Oh, yeah. We didn't add the. We didn't call the third button. So button 3 dot grid column is equal to 2 row is equal to 0. Okay, this is wrong too. So what we want to do is column is equal to, so the next column 3, and then row is equal to 0. So it'll be to the right of all of these buttons. Okay, there we go. So we have the 3 buttons. So click me. You press the button. Change text. The text has changed. Change position. Column span. Ah, right. Column span can't be 0. It has to be either 1 or higher. So let's quickly run this. So click me. And go. You press the button. Change text. It changes the text. Change position. It changes the position to the right side of all these 3 buttons. So the screen recording will be on the slightly shorter side because there will be another screen recording in the same module where we'll be working on a slightly more complex program which utilizes both buttons and labels. So I'm going to quickly go over one last thing before I end the screen recording. So what I want to go over is the after function, and so basically, the after method. And so basically what it does is it runs a function after a specific amount of time. So I deleted the other 2 buttons so that we have this one button left. So let's say the command is button function, and then in this function we have label 1 dot after. And what we want to do is we want to change the text in here, right? At the start, so let's say 2000 milliseconds. This number is in milliseconds, so it's like the delay, so how long it has to wait before it runs the function. So change text. Since we made a new function, we need to quickly create a new function. Change text. Then what this will do is it'll basically just configure the text inside here. So label 1 dot config text is equal to the text has changed. And so since the button isn't yet added to the window, we'll quickly add it by doing label 1 dot grid column is equal to 0, row is equal to 1. So that's below the button. So let's quickly run this. And so as you can see, and it says you press the button, but that's because we left the text in there. We didn't actually click the button yet. So when you click this, 1, 2, and then after 2 seconds, it changed the text. And so we'll use this method in the next program that we'll be making. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next screen recording.